I was in college at Drew University in New Jersey. My family had moved to Colorado, and I had gone to visit for Christmas. And it was a year when my mom didn't have enough money for a plane ticket, so I was riding the bus. So I was on the bus on my way back to college. I was sitting in a seat with a space, and he walked on the bus in Colorado and said, "Is anybody sitting here?" And I said, "No," and he sat down. He was in the Army, and he was on his way back to Morgantown for leave. We sat on the bus for 2 days and talked that's how long it took. And he said, "Do you have to go right back to school?" And I'm like, "No, I don't really have to." He said, "Well, do you want to come to my grandmother's here in West Virginia?" So I said, yes. I fell head over heels with him, his family, this place. That was the start. And we were married within a year, which meant when the bad things started, I really didn't have any support system. It started when our firstborn child, who was born in '77, was 6 months old. Nothing until then. It started after the birth of the first child. And it began with just a push, just a shove. I say just because everything that happened afterwards was so bad in comparison. But it wasn't a big event, but it was a big enough event to make me go home to my mother out west in Colorado and then believe that he didn't mean to do that and return. That leaving and coming back bought me a honeymoon period of about 5 years of nothing serious happening. And then it became very intense for a few years. Beatings, guns to my head, brutal beatings. I mean, I never knew from one day to the next whether it would be a day where he would crash in the door. It's just a blur of violence. The worst gun event was a time when he put a loaded gun in my mouth with his finger on the trigger and just kept berating me, you know, with the finger, like I just knew that he could pull the trigger. All I was doing was believing, looking in his eyes and believing in the part of him that wouldn't do it. And he didn't do it in the end. And the next day there was nothing to see, nothing to see. If we were having an argument, he might just casually go to the closet with the gun, get out the gun, and start cleaning the gun on his lap. So the control is able to be maintained with a lot less as time goes by. Just a threat, just a word. "I will see you with another man, I'll blow your head off." I was pregnant for the third child, and I went to a doctor for the pregnancy with a black eye and a broken nose, and he said to me, "Is someone hurting you?" And I said, yes, you know, I admitted it. And then he said, "Do you know about RDVIC?" He told me that they were there to help, so I took that number and hid it. Shortly after, a neighbor called CPS because they'd heard gunshots at the house and they were worried for the children. And a CPS worker came to the house. She terrified me that I might lose my children. And I was so terrified anyway of my situation. I was fighting for my life, so I thought I told her, "I have a place to go. I know about RDVIC," and she said, "I would recommend that you go there." So that was what I did. I waited till he left, and I went, and I was so frightened even when I was there. Then I thought, he will see me, he will find me, he can still hurt me. So I stayed there about a week, and I went back. That was the first of many times that I left and went back. It's what started me on the path of knowing that there were people that were there to help and that knew something about this. I was going to RDVIC for support. I was going to support group. I had learned some things. I realized that I could not fix this problem. I was not causing the problem. And the problem, it was always going to come back. And so I'd gotten to that point. So somewhere deep inside, I needed to leave. I'd gone back to college. This threatened him so much, I just kept taking back more of myself. Started doing things I always loved to do and had given up. I had to give up so many things of my life. I started skiing again, just more things. He was trying to be so good because I hadn't given in to him again. So he was always on his best behavior when he was trying to get me to trust again. So I had the upper hand in a way. And then the last thing I did was I stopped sleeping with him. I started sleeping on the couch, and that was the final straw. And so he woke up the second morning that I did that, found me on the couch, and began to throw my belongings out of the house. And I said, this is over. This is it, my out. You know, I thank God it's finally over. And I didn't know where I was going to go. I had a friend that I knew who rented apartments to students, and she gave me an apartment. And he crashed into that apartment about a month later to force me to come back home. And I escaped from him by running to the police station. It was right downtown, and they arrested him, and he was sentenced to jail. And then he came back from jail and got sick very quickly, and then died. RDVIC, that's the biggest piece of all, because first and foremost, you have to know its place as a refuge. That's the first. You can't go to friends and family and endanger them. But you can go to RDVIC. That's a true refuge. And know that they will not judge you, that they totally understand. And that means everything. My kids are really good. They're wonderful. All of them have graduated from college. So proud of them. They're all first generation. And then I graduated. I'm a lactation consultant with WIC. I race. I'm a triathlete. I'm a runner. I love it. Do the mile swim, the 25-mile bike, and the 10K run. That's my distance, the Olympic. I love it. I just became a grandmother. My oldest had twins in July last year, so they're 10-month-old twins, and that's wonderful. My son is a teacher in Savannah. I have a daughter in California. The children are doing wonderfully. It's really, really amazing. I still am amazed that I'm free. I just can't imagine escaping without their help.